You're turning now to your Hurricane and Severe Weather Update for today, Friday, June 1st, 2011. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is once again Friday, June 1st, and it is around 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. As you can see, the Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk of severe thunderstorms over portions of the upper plains today, parts of Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin, all the way down into parts of Iowa, northeast Nebraska, and even parts of southeastern parts of South Dakota today. Uh, Today's tornado risk is not significant today. It's more of a damaging wind and large hail threat. But with the overall atmospheric conditions in place, uh, an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out in some locations. So that will be something to keep an eye on today. We already have some cells beginning to develop in parts of South Dakota and Nebraska that will continue to move up to the east and northeast, and overall storm coverage will continue to increase as we head into the later on to the afternoon hours. A broad thunderstorm risk today is expected over portions of the Gulf Coast today, portions of the southeast today, parts of the northeast today has a risk of showers and thunderstorms today, and a broad risk over portions of New Mexico, Arizona, the Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle, parts of Kansas, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, and pretty much the eastern third of the United States has a good portion chance of seeing an isolated storm threat today. Here's a look at the HPC today, calling for possibly some areas to get possibly up to 1 to possibly 2 inches of rainfall today. Not talking about anything significant today, but interesting point is, I'm looking at it and I actually see possibly some parts of Florida may actually get possibly 1 to 2, maybe even 3 inches of rainfall, which is very well needed because that area is suffering from a pretty good drought right now and could actually use some rainfall around that area. So we'll have to see when the thunderstorms develop today, could they produce some heavy rainfall over certain areas. There's obvious is a pretty good chance of rainfall over portions of the southeast today, around the Carolinas. They may get possibly up to a little bit over an inch of rain around the Charlotte area. They're also suffering from a drought, and we'll see if they'll get some good soaking rainfall. The areas around here, some of these areas do not need rain. Some of these areas are dealing with river flooding, and this is just going to help exacerbate the problems around here and make it worse over some areas that do not need it. So we're also going to have problems with some flooding developing over parts of Minnesota, and especially Iowa, which obviously does not need any more rainfall. And parts of Chicago managed to get some more rainfall today. They've been dealing with a lot of rainfall today. I'll show you the totals in just a minute of how much rainfall they've gotten. Some areas have gotten significant amounts of rainfall this morning. But with the rainfall possibly forecast again today, that's going to help make the possible flooding we already have right now worse. So some areas that have gotten rainfall for the past few days have another chance of receiving it today. Let's look at the current rainfall totals. Like I said, some areas have gotten significant amounts of rainfall. We're talking about some areas may have received Doppler radar estimate. This may be a little bit of too aggressive, but it's saying some parts, northwestern parts of Indiana, may have received 6, 7, maybe even 8 inches of rainfall over since last night with the storm complex that came through last night. This may be overdoing it, but I won't be surprised if some areas are seeing this. And these green you see, these green outline boxes are flash flood warnings for the area until later on this afternoon to the evening, with more rainfall possible in some areas later on this afternoon. Another story that's been obviously gripping the nation is this heat. It's right now, some areas are already expecting to possibly get over 100 degrees today. As you can see, the National Weather Services all over have issued numerous heat warnings, heat advisories, heat watches all over a good part of the Central Plains today with this upper ridge of high pressure in place. It's allowing this heat to build. Some areas are going to have heat indices of 110 to possibly 115, maybe a little bit higher than that in some locations. This is not just going to be a dry heat. It's going to be very humid outside, so don't go outside if you don't need to today. It's going to be another very dangerous day today. Also, there is some ozone alerts over portions of the southeast, so once again, if you don't have to go outside, limit your time outdoors. Check on the elderly, your neighbors that don't have air conditioning, invite them over, or just go to a public place, go see a movie. Obviously, the new Transformer movie has came out. I'm planning on going to see that, by the way. But if you're going out today, don't exaggerate yourself. Don't make yourself so exhausted that you're possibly going to pass out today. Try and stay indoors as much as you can, but if you have to go out there, don't wear dark clothing, wear light clothing. If you wear dark clothing, you have a better chance of burning up today. Here's a look at the hurricane map right now. You can see it's overall quiet, but once again, the National Hurricane Center is still commenting on the remnants of Arlene, which is now in Mexico now, just providing some very heavy rainfall over that area. Some areas have already gotten several inches of rainfall, along with the potential for mudslides and debris mudslides to continue around that area. But the National Hurricane Center is obviously giving it a 0% chance of reigniting over the next 48 hours as it continues to move off to the west and dissipate over the northern Sierra Mountains. Here's a look right now at the imagery right now over portions of the Atlantic. Very stormy across the Atlantic, obviously with a lot of moisture, but it's pretty much blank of any organizing tropical systems right now. We're still dealing with a lot of upper level wind shear, but a few interesting points. You can see obviously we have a trough axis located over portions of the Gulf Coast today up into the southeast coastline. We have obviously the monsoon trough is very active today over portions of the southwest Caribbean back into parts of the eastern Pacific. Nothing that's going to organize into anything developing over the next few days. Nothing showing any signs of development. We have one tropical wave which has made it all the way from Africa into portions of the Lesser Antilles. No development is expected with that. And you can see on the far right of your screen, you see that little murkiness. We're dealing with obviously some African Sahara dust moving in, which means environmental conditions are not favorable, along with this upper level low providing a little bit of extra shear over portions of the southern Atlantic today, over portions of the Atlantic in our area, that we're watching. You see there obviously is a good amount of shearing apart this tropical wave that's in portions of the Lesser Antilles, producing some heavy rainfall over portions of the British Virgin Islands and also parts of Puerto Rico. Some of this moisture may move west and possibly affect the Dominican Republic with some heavy rainfall. Here's a look at the GFS. Over the next several days, not showing anything developing, so don't have to worry about anything developing. A big, massive ridge of high pressure is probably going to be in place, prohibiting anything that even tries to develop along with that subtropical ridge, producing dry sinking air along with that African Sahara Desert. So don't worry about anything in the eastern Pacific. I don't really see anything developing in the near-term future over the area. There's obviously going to be a good number of upper-level lows moving through, so may produce some squally weather over portions of the Bermuda area. But once again, no tropical development is expected over the next 5 to 8 days. One more interesting thing I want to show you is the African coast. It is getting pretty interesting. We're starting to see waves coming off the African coast this early in numerous forms. As I freeze the frame, you're seeing we're having, let's see if I can see the freeze. There we are. We have one wave right here. We possibly have another one right here. One came off yesterday right here. And then we have several more beginning to come off this one, and there's obviously a weak one right here. We'll see if that one ignites. But they're all coming off at different parts. It's called the March Vials. We're getting to that period, not yet, but give it another month that we're starting to, we actually can start watching this area. July is a favorable month that we actually have had cells form off the Cape Verde Islands. The Cape Verde season has not started yet, will not start until the end of this month, until August. But we're going to start watching these trends as we head into the next few weeks. Models are starting to indicate possibly something may be trying to want to develop over portions of the Cape Verde Islands in about 1 to 2 weeks. That's way off. Anything can change, but right now, obviously, nothing's going to develop right now with this African Sahara dust in place. But just something to keep an eye on. Keep in the back of your mind, what would you do if something were to develop in parts of the east of the Cape Verde Islands in about 1 to 2 weeks? Just keep that in the back of your head. But right now, safely speaking, the Atlantic is clear right now. Don't have to worry about anything developing right now. Your beach plans look good right now if you plan on traveling anywhere. But once again, just watch out for the showers and thunderstorms over a portion of the Caribbean if you have any plans on there, and showers and thunderstorms which have developed over the eastern coast of Florida. Thank you for joining us for your Severe Weather Hurricane Talk page today. Thank you for joining us. Be sure and have a good day. Stay safe and stay out of this heat.